Hi everybody, God bless you. This is Sister Esme, Chosen Esme. God bless you. Good evening to some, good morning to some. I just want to take a few minutes and kind of share a part of my testimony. I know that there are many right now that are enduring so much as far as having a loved one in the hospital or in hospice care, at home or either at the hospital. And I just want to share a little bit of my testimony, and I pray that I encourage somebody tonight to not lose hope, not lose faith in God. 3 years ago, I got very sick. I had lupus. I was very sick. I fell to my deathbed. I was in the hospital, in and out a lot. I also fell into a reprobate mind. And when I fell on my deathbed, the nurse had walked in. I'm not going to really go into it because I've already shared my testimony. And for those who don't know, my testimony, it's on my timeline. But just to get into the more serious part, I fell to my deathbed. I was laying on my bed, hospital bed. I had no control over my body. It was horrifying, and my body was seizing on the inside. I knew I was dying. I had no control over my body, nothing. And it was very frightening because I was alone. And the Lord had dealt with me for so long that I was very disobedient and rebellious. And it nearly costed my life. Well, I was in the hospital, and the nurse had walked in, and she had tapped me on my shoulder. And when she had asked me how was I doing, I opened my eyes because I had, been taking a nap. I opened my eyes to look up to her. And when I did, my eyes started rolling back. And I started seizing on the inside. It was the most horrifying, frightening thing I had ever experienced. I had my first near-death experience. And when the nurse saw my eyes twitching and my eyes rolling to the back of my head, she got into a panic mode. And I just lost full control of my body. I could see. I couldn't move. My body just completely froze. And I could still hear. And what I'm trying to get at is the last thing that when someone is dying, the last thing that leaves their body is their hearing. We can still see and we can hear. And for some of you that have a loved one in the hospital, whether coma, they're unconscious, and they're coming in and out, and doctors are saying they don't know what to do, there's no hope. There still is hope, and I spoke with a dear friend of mine who is a pastor, and his mother is not doing very well. And he says, I just wish you can hear me. Let me encourage someone out there tonight that we can hear. I fell in and out of conscious a lot. And one day, and I'm not going to go into detail because I don't want to frighten any of you. What I'm trying to do is encourage someone today. We can hear. The last thing that leaves our body is our hearing. And it's very important that though we're in a coma, we're unconscious, and we're just coming in and out, it's very important that you keep talking to us. Keep talking to your loved one. Keep encouraging them to fight, because you don't know. They might have been a fighter all their lives. They, even if they were weak all their lives, all it takes is your inspiring words, your words of encouragement, your love, your motivation. That's all it takes. And the nurses, the staff, these doctors that were running in and out when I was coming in and out, unconsciousness. And the nurse that saw me when she walked in, the nurse that saw, that I was going and going, she was the sweetest nurse. And because of her voice and the love that she gave me throughout the time that she took care of me on her shift, and several other staff members too, nurses, because of the love and the attention, the caring that she had, the compassion that she had towards her patients. It's the voice, the sound of the voice, the affection, the sound of the voice, the love that comes from the tone of the voice is what keeps us going. It's what keeps your loved ones going. Just last week I saw an article, a post on Facebook about a lady. I don't remember the story too well, but something happened to her that she fell into a coma. And the doctors and the nurses were telling her husband that they had to pull the plug. They had to get her off because there was just no hope. She wasn't going to come out of it. But her husband knew that the time that they had been married, throughout the relationship, that she was a fighter. She was a warrior, He felt in his spirit that she would come out of it. But because these doctors and these nurses, though they work so hard and they do their jobs, don't get me wrong, that they're so used to of saying, there's no hope, but there is hope. God is hope. Our faith is in hope. And what I'm trying to get at is that keep talking to your loved ones, because this lady shared her testimony, and her husband had told her goodbye, that he was going to take her off the machine. And she reached out to him and she spoke to him. And her husband was floored. He was astonished by how she just responded. And even as of today, she is healthy, she is alive. And I'm not saying that everybody's going to come through it, but what does it hurt to try? Not everyone can survive, not everyone can live. Some have lived their life to the fullest, and sometimes it's even, their time to go. But don't lose hope. We can hear, we can feel, we can see. Though we have no control over our body, which I didn't, I had no control over my body. But I can still hear. I can hear everything that the doctors and the nurses were saying. I can hear when my family was coming in and out. I can hear from the, slightest thing that fell on the floor. Our heart hasn't stopped. We're still alive, but there's just a part of us that we have no control over, which is our bodies, And what I'm trying to get at is that I'm trying to encourage you, because this friend of mine said, I just want her to hear me. And I said, she does. She does hear you. Keep talking to her. And even if it's, our loved one's time to go, which, my daddy now is in heaven. I went through something like that similar. My death experience was, I saw my dad. It was a repeat watching my father go through that. And it was the hardest thing. But because of God's strength in me, I was able to pull through it. And, I shared with my dad how much I loved him. And I never left his side. And I made sure that whoever was in that room did not speak a foul thing, did not say anything about, his illnesses or what have you, that he had no control over his body, or I had no one, even the doctors or the nurses, the staff. I didn't allow anyone to speak anything negative in that room while I was there, because of the fact that we can hear, and my daddy can hear everything. So your loved ones being even on the machine, the respirator, I can't recall what it's the name of it, but the machine, the breathing machine, we can still hear. Our heart is still beating. Some of our organs may not be functioning, but the main thing is our heart is still beating, and we can still hear. So I'm trying to encourage someone out there today that do not give up. Do not give up. Continue talking to your loved ones. Show your love to them. If there were things that you weren't able to patch up with them, this is the time. If there were some things that were said before they landed in the hospital on that bed, this is the time. They can still hear you. And why do you think that sometimes, I don't know if anybody's experienced this, but I have, to where our loved ones, they're on their deathbeds and we see tears coming out of their eyes. It's because they can hear everything that is going on. And though we have no control over our bodies, we hear every word that's being said. Why do you think tears come out of their eyes? Because they hear. Just because we don't have any control over our bodies and we can't move. I experienced all this. I went through all this. And I just want to say, this is the time to share your love, ask for forgiveness for something that you've said or done in their lives, or, even if they've done something to you, this is the time to patch things up. Don't let them, if it is the time to go, don't let them go away, with hurt, with, feelings, mixed feelings, because we still think, like I said, our hearts are still going. We still think, we still feel. Though we can't move, we can't move our hands or anything in our bodies, we can still hear. Our hearts, are still beating, and we can still feel. So I just want to encourage someone out there tonight, don't lose hope. God has the last say. God always has the last say. God knows when it's time for our last breath. And God might be keeping that person, your loved one, there a little bit much longer so that you can make things right, so that you can even reach out to them if they're not saved. Reach out to them, talk to them, because you know what? When we accept Jesus Christ in our hearts, it's by our hearts. We can speak through our minds, and though we don't speak it out loud through our lips, it's through our hearts, from our hearts. We're praying in our minds, and we're talking through our minds. You understand what I'm saying? It's in our hearts. God seeks our hearts. And that's how He humbles us, is through our hearts. So if there are things that haven't been, said, things that need to be patched up, things that, maybe didn't end up right, you can still make it right. Don't give up. Still encourage your loved ones to fight, because you never know, it was the nurses that kept telling me and encouraged me to keep fighting, and, hearing them calling my voice, we can hear clearly, hearing them calling my voice, telling me to come back and to come back, that gave me the courage to fight even more. And, because of them calling out my name, and because I knew that I needed God, in my heart I called out to God, and the Lord was merciful and graceful enough and forgiving that I am still here today to share this with someone out there. And I'm asking, please don't give up on your loved ones. Keep crying out to them, calling out to them, because only God has the last say. And if it is their time, then you have something to hold on to. You have to think about, the memories that you sat there and how you talked to them and you reached out to them, and they heard everything, but try not to allow family members, the doctors, the nurses, whoever's in the room with your loved one, not to talk about their condition, because it doesn't help. I had the nurses and the doctors hollering out about, oh, we're losing her, and do this, put this IV on her, and I can hear everything that was going on, and it's frightening to us because we're wondering what's going on. Are we gonna die? And it's important. It's important that even if there's family members in there and then there's a disagreement, don't allow that in the room. Have them to take it outside because we can hear everything. And I just want to say, keep encouraging them. Keep showing your love, because even if it is their time, you did your part and they heard everything that you had to say. Don't give up. Don't give up. Keep going. Keep talking to them. Keep showing your love. Keep displaying your love. You can make it right. You can make it right. I pray. I really pray that this helps someone out there. God bless you. Goodbye.